So they will sign up for these self-scheduled events, not just for the trial, but for everybody between May 7th and May 12th. Uh, you'll receive a schedule of these signups, and then these are scheduled in 1 hour blocks. So in other words, the team will pick 9 to 10. They won't pick 9 to 9:10, 10, 9 or 9:10 to 9:20, 9:20 to 9:30. No, no, no. This will be just all 10 teams will just grab into that. And then if you want to differentiate it a little more and say, okay, I want you guys here at 9:15, we'll get you that, and you can contact the teams on your own in advance, or you can do this on Friday night and let them know. If they did not sign up in advance, then they're going to see you on Saturday morning, and then any open slot, that's where they go. We only have 60 slots. If they don't get in there early, they will not have a lot of chances. And based on 2012, I watched them register live, and within 5 minutes, we had 90% of the slots filled. So I don't think this will last until May 12th. I think it'll be May 7 to May 7.001 when it will be all done. So here's general event supervisor procedures. So the students must know their team numbers, and they need to have a wristband on that is tight fitting, and we printed their wristband or their team number on it. If it looks like it's been exchanged, moved around, whatever, we'll need to know in headquarters. Make sure that they are also in the correct hour or in their self-scheduled hour. So the self-scheduling will take place again online, and we'll have those reports to you. That will also, the self-schedule will also be in your packets when you pick it up at registration. You'll also have them on the scoring summary sheet. So this is one that will just basically list all of the teams, and it will show, you can enter raw scores. I'm going to show you an example of that in a little bit. And then there's also a sign-in sheet that we're going to provide. They must sign in. And this is really important because if you see that somebody's a did not show, check this sign-in sheet. If it's a did not show, then they didn't sign in. But in the past, we have had cases where they signed in, there was a packet that went missing, there was a test that went missing, and they got reported as did not show. The score counselors will be checking. If there's a did not show, they will want to look at the sign-in sheet to make sure that they really didn't sign in. I also have on our Florida Science Olympiad website a template. It's not up on the national site. I could probably move that over, and I'll probably put that in the same location as where I'm going to post these videos online if you want to use this to help organize. But it gives you space here for the raw score and rank. You do want to put the raw score right on the test or lab sheet, and then make sure their names are in here legibly. But the key here is the team number must be printed very clearly. We do everything by team number, so make sure that that's on everything. The event starts times all start at very specific times, like 8:15, 9:30, 10:45. That's when you go. If a team is late, let them in. I don't care, but they can't get extra time at the end. It's certainly not a benefit if they're late. So we want to make sure that they get in there. Now, the advantage that we have this year is that most of our event locations, with the exception of the two that are going at the arena, are very close to each other. They're all within 5-minute walks, and we've got 15 minutes between events throughout the day. So they shouldn't have a problem from getting from one to the other. But I wouldn't disqualify them if they're late. My goodness. So but if they do come in and disturb, then that could be grounds for disqualification because of behavior, which is very different from disqualifying because they used the wrong kind of wood in a device. Here's a copy of our schedule for this year. We've got the event listed, whether it's impounded or not. We've got 2 events, Division B and C, disease detectives that are going 7 to 8 with all teams. Then it shows the teams that are allowed. So we've got specific slotted times, 11 to 20, 21 to 30 for these teams. So this is B11 to B20. Those teams must be there. And then the self-scheduled events. And we'll have a printout of those self-scheduled events later. And then, of course, the windows of time that these events will be occurring. So you'll notice that these are 6 blocks. These are 10 per hour. And it's all day. There is no lunch break. I'm sorry. But we'll be bringing lunch to you, and we promise that the lunch will be better this year. We have had this as a very high priority to making sure that this is not a one slice meat sandwich, but it'll be very substantive. We're going with a very different caterer than we had in 2012, so I think you'll be happy with that. Then before a student leaves your room, make sure that everything's been cleaned up. Make sure you give directions. You can count this as part of their score, and deduct it if they don't leave their station clean. And then what we would like to do is make sure that the room is clean. It is reset back to how it was originally. We have images of all the rooms. They're on our website. We want you to make sure that it is returned ready to go for classes on Monday. We are already in the middle, when we run this competition, we'll be in the middle of summer term. So classes will be going on Friday and they will be going on Monday, so we want to make sure the campus is clean. You'll be receiving a garbage bag in your packet, and we will want you to bring the garbage bag to a location that will be nearby the student union, and facilities is working with us on that exact location. So we'll have that for you in your packets. If a student is downright disrespectful, what we want you to do is notify us, and we, especially if it's a disqualification from that event for that team, we'll need to know. And disqualifications are different than, in this way, than in a disqualification because they didn't follow a certain aspect of the rules and it was not an intentional thing. There's a difference between they're using metal inside of the boom lever to strengthen it, which clearly is a violation of the rules, but is also cheating. That is a team disqualification, or they're disrespectful. Versus, they use the wrong dimension of wood and boom lever, different story. So we don't necessarily disqualify them in the same way for that. I'll show you with the scoring a little later, but notify me if there's a problem with this in terms of a disqualification because of cheating or disrespect. And I mentioned that here, that you want to note that on their scoring sheet. Note it everywhere because we will get questions. And also, you will want to notify the team coach that they're going to be disqualified. Make sure you can get a hold of us in headquarters and we can give you their contact information, but you'll need to get with them, the coach, and let them know that they are being disqualified. So disqualification for scoring purposes are not when students attempted but didn't follow the rules, built something incorrectly, didn't have the safety equipment. That's did not show necessarily, or any other thing other than behavior related. Now, if you make a mistake, because we all make mistakes, you are empowered as an event supervisor to make decisions. So please make decisions. However, if you make a mistake and you catch it in the first hour, fix it. However, if you make a mistake and you catch it in the second or third hour, do not fix it. Keep making the same mistake, because then it becomes an unequal playing field for all the teams. So make sure that only fix it in the first hour. We've had this happen before. So an example would be, we had one year where deionized water was supposed to be used, and they used tap water in a chemistry event. They found out later. No, then we don't change that. We keep going with using tap water. So that way everybody's under the same conditions. If a student does need to file an appeal, they have a problem with a ruling, they feel something has been something's unfairly happened to them, then they can pick up an arbitration form on the second floor in the student union. We'll have a pile of those. I've printed 75, so I hope we don't use 75. Um, I can tell you that sometimes arbitrations are a result of treatment from the event supervisor. In other words, if you're kid friendly and explain things, that goes a long way to helping with the arbitration. In other words, they don't file an arbitration. But if you treat the student poorly, or if a judge feels that they've been treated poorly because it's not good customer service, then they're going to file an arbitration because they feel angry. So a lot can be done to eliminate these just by explaining to the student in a very nice way what happened and go from there. Um, but don't engage in a prolonged debate. They do have this arbitration process in place that they'll follow, and the arbitration team is final. In other words, if they come to me, I'm not going to listen. It has to go through the arbitration team. Everything must go to the arbitration team. I encourage everybody to go to the arbitration team. Sometimes I get stopped by uh, the coaches who want to engage in a debate about something. I just say go file arbitration, and they do that, and there's a process in place. I don't want to go through that. Parents and teachers can watch the outside events. They're not allowed in the closed door events. So they can watch things that are in the lobbies, like at the arena, uh, but they have to remain a distance away from the students, and they cannot communicate, whether they're communicating sign language, smoke signals, light signals, whatever, but they have to watch, not participate. This is for the students, not for the parents and teachers. Okay, let's get into the scoring details. So this will be for everybody to watch. So please score all day long. The events end at 3:30, yes, but we want to get these in as fast and accurately as possible. And the way to do that is your event starts at 8 o'clock, 8:15. At the end of that first 8:15 slot, at 9:15, grab those papers and start scoring them throughout the day. That way, when you get to the last hour, you've only got 10 done. If you wait until the end of the day to start scoring, you will have 60 pages, 60 papers that need to be scored. We will have to get these all in by 6:30. These scores are being loaded into a new show system that we're using for the opening ceremonies, or for the closing ceremonies as well. And you'll understand what I mean when you see it at the opening ceremonies, how complex this is. So we need to be able to load data into the show system, and that has to happen at 6:30. So minutes after this mean that we're going to be delaying the award ceremony. So we've got to get this through score counseling as quickly as possible. There are 60 teams in each division. Team C61, which is from Japan, are not entered into scores. These will be held off to the side. If you've got the Japanese team that will be doing this, just put them off to the side. Don't put them into the scoring system. I do recommend that you bring along a laptop so that you can take advantage of the scoring system that we have in place. Each team that competes will get the same number of points as their place. So first place gets 1 point, 10th place gets 10 points, 35th place gets 35 points, and you break all the ties except for last place and beyond. What I mean by that is that if you got 2 no-shows, then they get the same number of points. So you don't break that. If you have, for some reason, participation points that place them in last place, then teams could have multiple. There could be 3 teams where they've got devices that don't work. They get participation points or whatever's in the rules. So they would have a tie. So ties can occur at last place and beyond, but nothing before. So at 59, 58, 57, and above, break all the ties. Teams that do not compete in the event receive N+1 points. If they're disqualified, they'll receive N+2 points, and N being the number of teams. And then, of course, the lowest combined score of all the events will determine the winner of the middle and high schools. So here we've got our little scoring rubric. So we've got first place 1 point, second place 2, and then the did not show is N+1, in this case 61. Disqualification is 62 or more, depending on what that would be. Let's hope we don't get any of those. I can't remember in a national tournament, which we have had one, but we might have. You will receive a scoring sheet. The scoring sheet will be populated after the final 2 states go. That will be after May 3rd. And I'll post this up on our national website on the event supervisor page. It will list the teams and their numbers. And then if you've got this as a spreadsheet, that if you're bringing your computer, you'll be able to enter this in. If you have an event that's got tiers, many of our engineering events are tiered, then you'll write in what the tier is for this. This will then create a ranking automatically. The tie break, if there is a tie that you need to break, then you'll put in a number here that corresponds to the tie break. So if it's high score wins, and let's say you got 2 scores at 49, then high score wins, 49 might be here, 49, 49. If, let's say, Quimby Oak broke, and these are not from, by the way, this national tournament, no. If, let's say, you got 49 and they won the tie, and it's high score, you would put 0.2 here, and then you could put 0.1 from Mission San Jose. So beware that this is really 49.2, 49.1. 49.2 is higher than 49.1. So the tiebreak should correspond to the ranking of the scores and then use that to break the tie. And you'll see a rank column that will show whether it's correct or not if you're using the score sheet. Now, if you're doing this on paper, make sure you print very clearly. So I'll have this scoring sheet available, all populated out for you on our Science Olympiad website. So when you come to score counseling, make sure that you're doing the following. You'll fill out the scoring checklist. This, I'll show you in a bit what this is. We want you to place the student work in rank order, first place on top. You'll print out the scoring summary sheet in the Student Union second floor, and you're going to be ready to read aloud the student work with the team number, the raw score, and the rank. So you will sit down. This will take 15 or 20 minutes. You will go through the process of reading this. There will be a score counselor who will verify the information. And if there's a big problem, you might have to step aside and rework things. But it is critical that you put everything in rank order. And then we're just going through and we're verifying that the results are valid, that information was transferred over correctly. Here's what happens. You have been working a very long day. You might have been up since 5 or 6 a.m. It's now 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It is possible to make mistakes. This score counseling system is designed to prevent mistakes from making it ultimately through to the final scoring spreadsheet that will be used to determine the overall winners. And sometimes the scoring spread between the totals of these teams is very narrow. So we need to make sure that we catch all the errors. So here is the checklist that you'll receive at the national tournament. You will go through and just make sure you've completed all these things, and then the score counselor will go back through and double check everything to make sure that it's all been verified and corrected. So you'll just work through this checklist at the top. This will be taken to score counseling, turned in, and then the score counselor will work back through and make sure that everything has been verified. Again, it'll take about 20 minutes to go through the process. So the scoring room will be in the Student Union on the second floor. You'll go up, there will be a table, there will be a pre-check table, then you'll go, and we're planning on having about 15 score counselors, so we're estimating that you shouldn't have a long wait there. We will want you to stay around on campus for about 1 hour, or make sure you leave your cell phone, so if there are any last minute problems. And you want to make sure also that arbitrations have been cleared for your event. The results will be final 1 hour after the award ceremony. Any questions that come from the teams have to be emailed to scoring@scienceolympiad2014.com, and the results will be distributed from near the stage after the award ceremony. We'll have a couple people out there passing them out to the teams. We'll have them for everybody on Sunday at the meetings at the DoubleTree, but they need to email scoring at Science Olympia 2014 if there's any questions. Um, we we want to make sure that we capture it in one place, so they just can't go to Gerard or somebody else. We want to run it through this one, so we have a log that it's been verified. So for lunch, we'll start to bring lunch to you at 11:30. If you have not already, make sure through Charlize that you have gotten the link to sign up for lunches. This is how we're going to determine where you are and what you want. And if you haven't signed up, then you'll get what's ever left over, and you will have to come to. I think we're putting the lunches in. I put in here 102, but things are in flux. I think we're going to have all the lunches delivered to the Harris Engineering Center, room 101, for distribution, rather than Creel 102. But we'll update that. But I think again this will not be Creel 101. It'll be HEC 101. And then make sure you order here on our website for your lunches if you haven't done so already. You might have some student assistants. We do have some local students who are volunteering to help out, and these are really good students. So we're going to be actually adding them in as event supervisors. So they'll be helping you out. They might have a need to sign off on paperwork that they volunteered. So feel free to do that, or they can bring it to me if they can find me. And then more information, make sure you head over to our website. The search does work. Again, our website's very dense, so I get that sometimes clicking to navigate can be difficult, but if you search in our search engine, you'll find things. And we want you to also head on to the soinc.org website for information on clarifications. And then finally, please, if you're using Twitter and Instagram, the hashtag SONT2014, please hashtag and put that in your tweets, and we will be announcing any official changes, any updates on Twitter at SONTUCF 2014. So if you've got a smartphone, download that app. Make sure you're following us at SONTUCF 2014 so you can stay up to date on any changes that will occur in real time. So these could include room changes, like what we just had with Creel 102 versus HEC 101. And then, of course, email me at floridascienceolympiad.org if you have any information that you need that you cannot find on our website. So, and from everyone here at UCF, we have an incredible team that's been working together. This is absolutely the best team that has ever put together a national tournament, and without them, wouldn't be possible. So if you see them around, please thank them. And what's sort of incredible about this is it's not just those that are local, but Dorianne lives in Georgia, Rick lives in Kentucky, Ramel lives in California, and Alex lives in Texas. So we have a team that has done things, and we're not even in the same room together. So we thank you. Thank you for helping out with the Science Olympiad National Tournament at UCF. This is the 30th anniversary. We're happy to host it, and we look forward to seeing you here in a couple weeks.